Sir Lewis Hamilton. First time we've said this on the channel, and to be fair, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? He's been in the news a lot, especially towards the end of the F1 season, and even over the winter period as well. As we know, he got his knighthood. By the way, congratulations to Sir Lewis Hamilton. He got the Spotty Award as well. And something else, which was still actually a hot talking point in the world of Formula One, and that's something that we're going to be discussing today, is that infamous Lewis Hamilton contract. When is he going to be signing this? Is he going to be signing this? And if he doesn't sign it, who's going to be replacing him? But before we jump into this as well, we've got a couple of things to kind of go through. Now, first of all, we've got a brand new channel name, the GP Debate Show. It took us about 10 years to think of that one. It was pretty long discussions. And if you're new, of course, to the channel, to the GP Debate Show, please hit that subscribe button as well and give it a like as well. My name is Jordan. We've got my co-host, Lyle, as well. Don't be scared by him as well, guys. And we'll be bringing you just some F1 content, debates, news, just anything that's happening in the world of Formula One, giving our opinions, letting you know all the details as we possibly can, and hopefully going to have a proper good F1 2021 season. So let's kick things off with, like I said, the Lewis Hamilton contract situation. What is going down? Lyle, let's talk about this. First of all, let's talk about the contract situation first. Where do you stand on this, right? Because I'm pretty sure you're like everybody else. They keep putting it off, don't they? Mercedes say, oh, it'll be on this date, then it'll be this date, then it'll be this date. You know, where are you standing with Lewis Hamilton signing this supposedly brand new contract that's on the table?
Well, with Lewis, I would have assumed that he was going to be driving for sure. You know, look at everything that he achieved in 2020. He matched Michael Schumacher, he beat Michael Schumacher, he's setting his own record of wins, 95 wins, 98 pole positions. It was actually could have been a lot longer, of course, if he did the race in Sakir, of course, which he tested positive for COVID-19 and was replaced by someone else who we'll get on to in a little while. It was looking inevitable that he was going to sign, but yeah, as you said there, John, you know, this happens all the time. You know, this kind of, it's like the worst kept secret when it comes out, and it's not really even breaking news when it is signed by it. It got towards the end of the season, I see, especially after he got COVID, then recovered, thankfully. And Toto Wolff was signed by the team for 3 years, and we thought, I don't think there's really anything that, you know, would hold Lewis to the team, you know, like in terms of what he wanted. Like, I'm not going to sign if this person isn't here. But Toto signing, the man who, of course, has brought him all but one of his world championships, and, of course, all the Mercedes Constructors Championships, was at the team. It looks inevitable that Lewis is going to be there. He has been in contact negotiations with them, but loose negotiations, and he has actually had offers blocked by the team. And now he's said that he wanted a payment of £50 million over the next 4 years that he would be in. So 4-year contract with obviously £50 million each year, with a 10% bonus if he wins the World Championship. Now, from Lewis' perspective, he is matched Michael Schumacher, and he's on the verge of further extending his records. What is stopping him doing that? He's matched 7. Why is he not going for 8? But from a Mercedes point of view, Lewis is the one who has, okay, let's show Valtteri a little bit of love in here. You know, it's not all 100% Lewis, but a lot of it is Lewis Hamilton's doing. You know, it's definitely not 50-50. It's, you know, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, 95-5, if any of you guys want to at me at that. But let's not say 100-0. Let's count Valtteri Bottas in this for now. Mercedes have won their constructors, every single constructors, 7 World Constructors Championships in a row because of Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, he's had Valtteri and Nico at the helm in number 2, helping him along, but it's the only, you know, thing that stayed the same throughout all this is Lewis. So it begs the question, why have Mercedes and Lewis, or as we should say now, Sir Lewis, not want to sign? It is baffling. So I don't know why not. Lewis is, of course, still in his mid-30s. He wants to achieve more. He said he can achieve more. He said a few years ago that, you know, he's heading into the best years in Formula One, where he'll be the strongest, you know, the best reaction times. He will be the strongest driver. So I really don't know why he's not signed with them yet. And obviously he's had, as I say, he's had the first lot blocked. So, Jordan, that opens up to the next question, or the next phase. Now, again, there's been talk about this young Williams driver named George Russell, the man who, as just mentioned there about the Sakir Grand Prix, replaced him in that race when he tested positive for COVID-19. Brilliant race by George on his part. Not in the Mercedes, they did let him down. But in qualifying, nevertheless, you know, good, strong 1-2, and obviously backing Valtteri Bottas in the closest 1-2 separation in qualifying this year. I think it was something like 0.02 of a second. It was ridiculous. But it's an incredible performance by George. The young prodigy who is managed by Toto Wolff will be in that Mercedes, and that's what everybody says. So Jordan, obviously there's been a lot of talk about George Russell getting into that seat. He finally did, in driving a W11 with shoes that were one size too small that for him. He drove a pretty impressive race. His racecraft was incredible. He battled Valtteri Bottas on many, many occasions. We saw that amazing high-speed overtake that he did, going around, of course, the very fast kind of sector 2 of Bahrain in obviously the Sakhir Grand Prix. Brilliant driving from him. Of course, Mercedes let him down in that race, but he definitely has a strong future at Mercedes. So to start this question, very simple, obviously what everyone's asking and what we put on a poll on Twitter the other day, if Lewis doesn't sign for Mercedes, or if Mercedes don't want him, will it be George Russell? And also, will it be a case of Lewis doesn't want to return to Mercedes, or is it a case of Mercedes might not want him and they might want to go in George Russell's direction?
I think we'll start with George Russell. 100% it will be George Russell if Lewis Hamilton leaves, doesn't want to sign, or whatever happens. George Russell will be in that Mercedes whenever Lewis Hamilton decides to leave, 100%. And I think one of the reasons, well, according to reports, by the way, nothing has been officially confirmed, this is all reports, but kind of everyone's on the same wavelength. I think Russell is like the stumbling block in the so-called negotiations between Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, according to reports, by the way. So they want Russell in Mercedes a lot earlier. Like you said, Lewis Hamilton wants a 4-year deal, but Mercedes want Russell in earlier than 4 years. They don't want Russell in somewhere else for 4 years because quite frankly, somebody else could snap him up in that time because, you know what I mean? Like, if you're saying, right, okay, George, you're going to have to wait 4 years to be in that Mercedes at a top team by that'll be George Russell at 25, 26, which is a key point in your career. You want to win races, you want to win championships as early as you possibly can, whenever you feel ready. And, if Russell feels ready, then he will be looking at other alternatives if he can't get in that Mercedes seat. Mercedes want him involved. Hamilton saying, I want to be here for another 4 years, and yeah, they're stuck, aren't they? It's going to be very, very difficult. I think, if Russell does come in, when Russell comes in, is it going to be ready at this moment in time? I would say yes. On the ability, yes. Russell is very quick. He's so consistent. He's really good. And yes, in Sakhir, he proved to us what he can do in that Mercedes. I'm not going to put this on a downer point, but what I will say, though, is there was no real pressure on Russell that weekend, was there? Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I say that was because the constructors had been wrapped up long before Sakhir. The drivers had been wrapped up long before Sakhir. Not that Russell would be involved in it, but mainly the constructors. Everything was done. What was there to race for, really? Another race win? Russell could go into that Mercedes and just do whatever and just have fun. There's no pressure. If they were in a battle in the constructors with Ferrari or even Red Bull or somebody else, would have Russell performed the same? I don't know, because drivers, don't get me wrong, of course he's dealt with pressure in terms of winning titles, winning championships in other categories of formulas. Yeah, but Formula One pressure is something completely different. Will Russell live up to that or not? Will he crumble or will he excel? That's something we really don't know yet. And that was something I'm like, yeah, Russell, I'm not saying he had a bad performance. He had a really good performance. And for him to be ahead of Valtteri Bottas, embarrasses Valtteri Bottas, in my opinion. And it shows Russell is good.
Yeah.
But that was only one race and there was nothing on the line for... It was almost like a CV. It was almost like Mercedes have just went to Russell, there's our car, just do whatever. Do whatever you want. You know
and also
I mean?
As well,
yes,
you said about you said the pressure. There was no pressure from the team, but there was actually no pressure from anybody else. We're always having to go at Valtteri. I don't mean we are. I mean, we love Valtteri. But everyone's having to go at Valtteri that he isn't performing to the ability of Mercedes and Lewis's expectations. But you've got to remember also, Jordan, like what we said in our top 10 moments of last year, Perez won the race. Ocon's podium. those weren't remembered because of Russell's amazingness. What I mean is that we all thought like all eyes were on Russell, but in a pressure less way, if that makes sense. We were all thinking, right, let's just see how Russell does, and he's always at the back. He's always not scoring points at Williams. So if he didn't score points in Mercedes, we wouldn't have cared. And as you said there, it was like almost like as fans, we just thought, right, okay, Russell, no expectations, just go out there, have fun. Valtteri, you better win. But if Russell doesn't, then so what? Just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly that. It was almost like it was just a CV. Have a bit of fun and see what you can do. But I do think Russell will be ready. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that was only one race, and he could easily come in there and just be the heir to Lewis Hamilton, which everyone thinks he's going to be. And quite frankly, I think out of all the drivers, the younger drivers, I think if there's anyone that's in a really good position to win a championship at this moment in time, it would be George Russell, because he's going to be in the Mercedes, which is at the time the best team by a country mile. And Ferrari and Red Bull are just left chasing their tails, and Aston Martin are coming into the fold as well. So I think Russell's in a really good position to do that. I think he can do it. Like I said, I just think maybe there could be a point where will Russell be as good if there was pressure on him at all? But no, I think that is the stumbling block in all this contract negotiations between Hamilton and Mercedes. Yeah. Both parties have said, bringing it back, come back into Lewis Hamilton there, both parties have said that they want to work with each other. Now that's one story. The other story being is they both want to be working with each other at different lengths of their time. Daimler and Mercedes want 2 years, whatever it was. Hamilton wants 4 years. Hamilton wants 50 million a season or whatever in that time. Daimler want to give him 40 million or whatsoever it is. Now, I've seen people on social media complaining about this. About, how can you 40 million a year should be more than enough for you, you know what I mean, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but it's the same in every other sport known to man. You know what I mean? It's like if you get offered more money, if you're on a salary of 40 million, and you're one of the highest paid in the sport, and someone says to you, right, we're now going to give you 30 million pound, it's like, well, that's a bit of an insult to me, because you're now saying that I'm not worth the 40 million, and I feel better than I ever done. It's the same with Sebastian Vettel's situation back in April, May time, when I think I did the F1 24/7 news at the time, when I reported and said Vettel wants 40 million, but Ferrari had offered him 15/20 million dollars a year, and that was a big insult to Sebastian Vettel. Like, well, hang on a minute, am I not part of your team anymore? Then, which ultimately we found out, he wasn't. Should we be nervous though? Should we be nervous though, Lyle? Lewis Hamilton fans, like, we're not. Yes, we're British, but we're not Hamilton big fans, are we? We like Hamilton, we respect Hamilton, but we're not like massive big posters on our wall, Hamilton. Bed in Hamilton.
Speak for yourself. You haven't seen my bedding, have you?
I heard yours was Charles Leclerc. No, actually, it's Max Verstappen, isn't it?
It's Sergio Perez now. I've got it ordered. 2021 Sergio Perez. No one has it yet. It's Monopoly bed sheet. Not Monopoly. It's Sergio Perez. But I have a Monopoly on the bed sheet.
I thought you've just binned your Gasly once, you binned your Albon once, now you're getting Perez ones on the way.
I just thought Alex Albon, Red Bull, and then what do you go and... Thanks, Helmut Marko, thank you.
You've got a lot to bill him for, send him the invoices. But no, back on to Lewis Hamilton. Should Lewis Hamilton fans watching this be worried that he could potentially leave Mercedes? Should they be keeping themselves up at night worried about this? Or do you think, relax guys, he will sign?
I think that Lewis, we are at the possibility where we started as he said there about talking about Lewis Hamilton's contract. He's done this for many, many, many years. He might have even done this in 2010, 11 McLaren, one-time world champion. Who the hell cares, Lewis? He's done this for many, many years, where we have kind of switched off and we've thought, a bit like Sebastian Vettel, this isn't going to happen. He's all fine. Then Seb left and we thought, this is real. This can happen. And then Lewis has got to leave at some point. I think because of the performance of George, and also the fact that they know Lewis will, bow. I think Lewis seems like the guy to want to bow out on top. They don't want to have strained relationships with Lewis. They want to cut. They kind of want to jump before they want Lewis to jump before he's pushed, if that makes sense. They want nice relationships. Just in sport, we always hear about stories about like for example, obviously the NFL is the NFL playoffs are on at the moment. The teams who haven't made the playoffs, and all the stories coming through. NFL, the team has fired the head coach. They've fired this player. They've fired that player. People don't want to be like that. It's like in football as well. Managers don't want to be fired. I mean, I remember when Jose Mourinho was fired from Manchester United. It was a big hit on his reputation. But so with Lewis Hamilton, they want to end on nice relationships. They don't want it to be a fire. They don't want it to be a bad situation.
I also think, sorry to interrupt there, I was just thinking there as well about, we're going through, of course, I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but we're going through a world pandemic at the moment. You know what I mean? It's called coronavirus. You might have heard about it. I really don't know if you know what's going on, but that is took a big hit to many companies, big and small. Money is very strapped in variety of things for many reasons. Sales are down. Everything's just going to rubbish. Basically, I'll keep my language sweet. Mercedes could be wanting to reduce costs. Let's say, they're spending, I don't know, like 1-2 billion a year on the Mercedes Formula One team, or however many it is, right? So let's say they're spending that much and they need to reduce it because of obvious reasons, coronavirus. Yeah. This could be one of those ways, though, Lyle, as well. This could be one of them ways to reduce the amount of money to pay Lewis Hamilton over them 4 years, because even if we do get out of this pandemic, it's still going to take a long time for companies to rebuild the same money, the revenue that they were producing pre-coronavirus. So I think that's something that's got to be certainly taken into the equation as well. Something that I didn't bring up just before, about the financial side of things, because Mercedes will be feeling the effect like everybody else will be. So Russell will be a cheaper alternative to Lewis Hamilton. He won't be asking for 40-50 million pound for 4 years. He might be wanting or expecting 10 to 15 million a season, or whatever, however many he'll be after. So I think that's something you've got to take into the equation, don't you think, as well, about that coronavirus could actually be one of the reasons why Lewis Hamilton leaves Mercedes, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely a reason why that is. It's hard. It's a hard situation for Formula One, because obviously these drivers, less so much the drivers at the top, but the drivers at the bottom. It's Formula One. It's seen as a bit like a kind of being an airline pilot kind of thing. You spend so much money getting into Formula One that once you're in Formula One, that money that you make isn't just for you to go and spend on nice cars and all that stuff. It's to kind of pay and finance back what you've spent. And obviously, I mean, less so much people like Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, because they'll have done that ages ago. And obviously, Lewis Hamilton had a great way into Formula One, but the younger drivers, such as people like George Russell, they might even still be paying money, from how they got into Formula One. All the thousands and millions that they spend on karting. I definitely think the Mercedes aren't safe from this. They'll have definitely been hit. They'll have definitely been impacted. And that's probably not one of the reasons. I do still think that, what you brought up before about the 4 years thing, that is a reason why they don't want Lewis to be there, because they want George in the space of 4 years. And obviously in 4 years' time, I think Lewis is going to be 39 or 40 years old. He's, it's getting on a little bit. And obviously remember Kimi Räikkönen, he left Ferrari just before 40. So, the Mercedes don't want a driver like Lewis in the team at that point. So in terms of if they're still in the championship fight, will they be expecting their new replacement of Hamilton, George Russell, to win the championship? Or do you think if Hamilton leaves and George Russell is promoted up, it will be right, George, you're here as number 2 for a few years. And Valtteri, you've been behind Lewis since 2017. You are now number 1, son. And it is now, you've finished in second place behind Lewis every single year. Many years. It is your time now to win the World Championship. Is it George to win the World Championship? Or is it Valtteri to win the World Championship? If they are in this position in 21.
Yeah. I think they will be looking at Russell to win them the championship, because, he's replacing Lewis Hamilton at the end of the day. They're replacing the world champion, the driver who did get them the championships at the end of the day, bar one season where, of course, Rosberg did. So they will be looking at Russell, certainly. But also I think they'll be looking at Valtteri Bottas at the same time, because I personally believe Russell will be ready for that Mercedes, undoubtedly. However, he might come into Mercedes and he might not be as consistent. He might not be as quick. I don't think he'll be as quick as Lewis Hamilton, but ultimately, if he comes in and he's not on the pace straight away, then I think the pressure will then be even more so on Valtteri Bottas, because he has to then, okay, Russell, he needs a year to develop it, to get himself settled into the team. It is a big task to do. Can he do it? Yes or no? We don't know until he sits in that seat. He might do it, he might not. But if he doesn't, and he's off the pace, the pressure will be on Valtteri Bottas. And if he can't deliver that pressure, then ultimately they might go off and find somebody else. But I think they'll be looking at Russell to win them the championship. Can he do it? Yes, he could. Of course, he could. Absolutely, because, like I said before, he showcased what he could do to Sakir. All right, there was nothing really much pressure on George Russell, but ultimately he beat Bottas, who had been at the team since 2017, and he did it in one race, in one less shoe size, by the way. I must add that, in a car that's not really suited for his style. So, yeah, kudos to that. He did pretty well. For him to have a team around him, he's so knowledgeable. He knows what he wants. He wants it now. He's been part of the Mercedes family since 2016, 2017. So he's been around there. He is more than ready for that seat. He can be world champion. Of course he can, and I think he can be a multiple world champion in the future. Will he match the level of Lewis Hamilton? Probably not. But I think he can certainly be up there as one of the greats of Formula One in terms of Britain anyway. Yeah. But who knows? But I think one big thing as well we've got to consider with Russell going to Mercedes is how is Mercedes going to do in the new regulations in next season, 2022 now, because yes, everyone, I've seen this everywhere. Mercedes, they're saying, oh, they're going to be the next team. They're going to be they're still going to be at the top. They're going to be at the top. They're going to still dominate the sport. But like I said before, in previous regulations, everyone said the same about Red Bull. Everyone said the same about Ferrari, and they didn't. They crumbled. They fell away. But Mercedes, of course, they've been totally different in every single dimension of the sport. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sure they will be prepared for the new regulations. I'm pretty sure that they'll be more than ready for them. And I think that they will have a plan in place to go, right, let's kind of take back development from the current generation of cars, which I think they've already done, and had a look at the at the next rules and regulations, which were going to be for this season, but now are not. And Mercedes revealed this week that the W11, the 2020 car, had been in development since 2017, which proves how good it actually was. That's why it was so dominant, was because it's been on the production line for like 3-4 years, research, development, what's been happening. And Mercedes could have done this. They could reveal in 2025 that we or in 2024 we were working on this car or on this generation of cars since 2019, 2020 or whatever. You know what I mean? They could have done this, since the regulations were announced at some point last year or the year before. What do you think about this, guys? In the conversation below, let us know. Share your opinions as always. We love to hear them. And of course, I must point out that these are reports, by the way. None of this could be a load of tosh, a load of rubbish for all we know. But quite frankly, you do have to consider it. It is news. It would have been leaked somewhere, and for all we know, Lewis Hamilton could sign a deal, and Mercedes could go, there was never an issue anyway. We were just trying to figure out the right time to sign it. So, you know what I mean. But I think there is something more to this than meets the eye. Definitely, I think Russell is one of the reasons why. Wolff has signed a deal. By the way, I must point that out. Toto Wolff has signed a 3-year deal himself. So that could be one of the factors why Hamilton should sign as well. That he did explain this. But I think there is some way to go as well between this. But we'll have to wait and see in the matter of weeks, because he needs to get a move on because the season is fast approaching. But guys, thank you so much for watching as always. Like I said, comment below your opinions. Watch what you're doing. Stay safe as always. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys.